Hey guys, it's Gracie. Welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my other videos. I actually have my phone interview for the Disney College program any minute now. It's 9, well, I say any minute, but my interview is scheduled for 9:45 and it's 9:18 right now. And Disney can call me 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after my interview time. So the Disney College program has been something that I've wanted to do like ever since I was little and in middle school, and yeah, so I'm really excited to have this interview, but I'm really nervous because I'm not very well spoken when it comes to like interviews, and I get really nervous and I talk really fast. So yeah, I don't really know. The reason that I'm filming this is because I've seen a lot of these videos on YouTube. I've watched hours and hours and hours of these videos preparing for my interview, and even when I was in high school I watched these videos because I was excited to eventually apply for the program. Sorry, my camera's shaking. So now that my time is here, I'm really nervous, but yeah, so I applied last Wednesday, or I applied last Tuesday, and I immediately got a web-based interview right after my application, and then as soon as I finished my web-based interview I immediately got asked to schedule a phone interview. So that was like a week ago, and today is my phone interview. It's weird because my interview's at 9:45 p.m. which is kind of weird to me that like I'm gonna be talking to a recruiter late at night, but yeah, I'm really excited. I have flashcards with like just some bullet point answers, so that way if I get lost that I'll have kind of a guideline for some of the questions, because I've noticed from watching like a bunch of the YouTube interviews that they tend to ask like a lot of the same questions. So I've written down like the questions that I've seen kind of over and over again. So hopefully that'll be good for me and will provide some assistance. But yeah, I feel really weird filming my interview, but I'm gonna do it. And I've already got this. Says I wrote down interview name, and I'm gonna write down her name, or her or his name, so that way I can remember it for the end of the call. But yeah, I'm really nervous, but I'm so excited. I'm like about to interview for my dream job, so yes, I'm very excited. And I think I'm gonna put it on speakerphone, which I was kind of hesitant towards in the beginning, but just because I don't want there to be like any sort of mess up in the conversation, but I do want you guys to be able to hear like exactly what the recruiter's saying. So I think I'm just gonna put it on speaker. I mean, I'm right next to the phone, so I think it'll be okay. But yeah, enjoy my interview. I hope I post this. I might feel too awkward to post it, and if I don't get accepted, I probably won't post it. But yeah, oh, I gotta make sure I turn my watch notifications off. But yeah, I hope I get accepted. I'm really excited. Oh, and also subscribe to my channel and go watch my other videos if you're new to my channel because of this video, like because you're applying for the program. Watch my videos and subscribe. I post pretty much weekly, so yes, I'm very excited. I put on a sweatshirt because I got cold and I want to make sure I'm very comfortable during this interview, but it's 9:30 now, which means I have entered the 15-minute window before my interview time that they can call me. So now I'm just waiting on a call, I guess. So I will let you know when I get the call. Hello, this is Gracie.
Hi Gracie, this is Bradley calling from Disney. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. I'm calling for your telephone interview for the college program. Is this still a good time?
Yes, this is perfect.
Awesome. We're going to be spending about 20 minutes together. I'm going to be asking questions where I can learn about you and your past work experience, and we're going to discuss some of the roles that you expressed interest in, okay?
Okay.
I'm also going to hold some time towards the end of the interview just in case you have any questions, all right?
Sounds good.
So what made you interested in the Disney College program?
Yeah, so I have been interested in the program since like my freshman year of high school when I first heard about it. I've actually only been to Disney World one time, which is really sad. And it was when I was 6 years old, so it's been like a really long time ago, but it's crazy because it's actually one of like my only memories that I remember from when I was little, just because I think my experience was so great that I've just never kind of forgotten about it, and I've always wanted to go back. But like due to financial reasons and stuff like that, my family's never been able to go back. And so when I heard about the program, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like when I get to college, as soon as I'm a freshman, I'm applying for that program. I know, like I was like, I want to go back to Disney immediately as soon as I can. And I just think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to not only like work at Disney, but meet so many different people from all over the world. And of course, like you can't beat living at Disney for a whole semester. So like as soon as I heard about it, I expressed interest and watched all these different YouTube videos of girls that had gone through the Disney college program. And one of my yes, there's so many and I've just watched literally all of them.
That's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and my one of my friends, his sister just went through the program this past summer. And so like seeing all of her pictures and hearing about her experience just like made me want to apply even more. And so now that it's finally here, it's kind of crazy that I'm actually going through my interview right now, but it's super exciting.
Here we are.
Yes.
And what do you think or what value do you think that you would add to the Disney College program if you were able to be a cast member?
Yeah, so something like a characteristic about myself that I like really love about myself, I guess, is my positivity and like bubbliness, I guess. And I kind of make it a point in whatever I'm doing to approach every single thing with positivity and a smile on my face, and to make sure that I'm not like causing someone else's day to be ruined, or just one single moment in their day to be ruined. And that's definitely a characteristic that I like about myself, is that I'm always able to have that positivity and bring that to the table. And I definitely think that at Disney, that's a big thing for guests, is to make sure that they don't want to look around and see a cast member with a like angry or sad. They want to make sure that they're seeing happy faces, smiling faces. And I definitely think that if I were to work at Disney, that I could definitely provide that for the guests.
Awesome. And just to confirm some of the information, or clarify, I would say, you're a freshman at Georgia Southern, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so your graduation year was not 2013.
Oh no, I did not mean to put that.
Okay, so you're currently a freshman at Georgia Southern University.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I don't know how I didn't catch that.
That's why we ask these questions.
Yeah,
we
no.
just want you have to, if you had graduated, it has to be within the past year, so you would have not been eligible. But you are a freshman there, and you are currently enrolled in classes, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, awesome. And you've never worked for the Disney company before, is that correct?
That's correct, I have not.
And are you currently an international student studying in the U.S. on a visa?
No.
And as you may be aware, all of our roles in the parks and resorts require you to wear a costume and comply with the Disney look and appearance guidelines. Are you familiar with those guidelines, or would you like me to review those with you?
I have looked the guidelines over, and definitely from watching the YouTube videos, I've heard all about it. So.
Okay. And are you receptive to those guidelines?
Yes.
And for costuming purposes, we do have questions regarding body modifications. Please know that any failure to disclose a body modification, including tattoos, may result in the cancellation of your program should an offer be extended to you. This includes modifications you currently have or may get prior to your arrival. Do you have any tattoos that would be visible outside of a tank top and mid-thigh length shorts?
No, I don't have any tattoos.
And just to confirm, you don't have any wrist, hand, or forearm tattoos, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any ear gauges or dermal piercings?
No.
Do you have any piercings at all?
Yes. I do have my nose pierced, but it is something that I could easily take out and you wouldn't even be able to tell.
Okay, just remember, should you be offered a role, that no spacers, retainers, or plugs are permitted in that piercing while you're on work shift, okay?
Got it.
And do you have a valid U.S. driver's license?
Yes, I do.
So you're a freshman, so I imagine the last few weeks have been very busy with adjusting to life at on college campus and all of that. So how do you balance your classes, your social life, possibly a job, all of that, and make sure that everything gets done?
Yeah, so actually during my senior year, I dual enrolled at a college, like a local college in my town. And so I actually didn't have any high school classes my senior year. Like I took all college classes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of like have a little bit of college experience and was pretty adjusted once I got to Georgia Southern already. So I kind of like knew how it was going to work classes wise. And
Okay.
and since I was 16, I have had a job like I don't know, like as soon as I turned 16, I was like, I want to start making my own money. And so I definitely was able to juggle a job and classes really well. But this is actually my first time since being 16 that I don't have a job, and it's been really nice. But it has felt like something's kind of missing. Like I'm kind of bored sometimes because I don't have that like extra obligation. But yeah, I feel like I'm pretty good at juggling like my friendships, and I'm actually in a sorority at college right now, so I definitely make time for everything, and I feel like I'm pretty good at organizing and making sure that I'm not like stretching myself too thin. I definitely keep my planners like my lifeline throughout college. I write every single thing down to make sure that I'm not overstepping or making sure that I'm not like double booking myself. But I think I do a pretty good job at staying balanced and organized.
And wanted to get some clarity about your dates of availability. You listed that the spring was your preferred program, followed by late spring, but the dates that you gave available, you weren't going to be available until April 20th. We have that spring program. Arrival dates start as early as January 13th, and we have arrivals on the 13th, 21st, and 27th. Would you be available in January?
Yeah, I'm available basically from January to August. I just had listed that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had just listed because my friend who I talked about that did the program, she went from like the end of April to the end of July. And those dates sounded appealing to me, and so that's kind of why I put those dates. But I'm definitely available and willing to do the program at any time during those months.
Awesome. We just wanted to make sure because those arrival dates are subject to availability at time of acceptance, and we would hate to extend you an offer, and it would be for a time frame that you wouldn't be able to commit for. So
Gotcha.
I always just want clarity. So in our housing, you could have anywhere from 1 to 7 roommates and be sharing a room with 1 or even 2 other people. Given that information, disagreements or stressful situations are sometimes unavoidable, whether they happen at school, work, or at home. Can you tell me about a time where you independently handled one of those situations?
Sure. So this is actually my first time living with any roommates, just because I just moved off to school, and so I'd lived at my home, like at my house, ever since. So I haven't had to deal with roommates yet. But I actually love having roommates, which is kind of like an unpopular answer, but like I said, I'm super bubbly and friendly and like love to be around people at all times. And so having a roommate now is actually like really fun for me because I always have like a friend like right next to me. But so just like I said, I've only been living with a roommate for about a month so far, and so we haven't had like too many like bad conflicts or conflicts that that we're gonna like destroy our friendship. But we definitely had just the typical like dishes piling up, trash piling up, just keeping the overall cleanliness of our dorm. But yeah, so we did have like kind of an issue a couple weeks, or like 2 weeks ago, where the dishes were just overflowing and none of us wanted to touch them because they weren't all of our dishes. They were all of ours mixed in together. None of us wanted to do them, but we finally all sat down, got together, and came up with a system to where once we finished with a dish, we would wash it immediately. If we see the trash built up, we would take it out just so it doesn't become an issue. And it actually that works very well for us because it's not like putting too much work on one individual person. So we kind of just do a little bit here and there, and it like works well for us. And I'm happy that we approached the like conflict kindly and not like pointing fingers at anyone, because it probably would have not ended very well if we would have gone into the situation angrily. So I'm happy that we got that cooled over before it became too bad of an issue.
Awesome. And can you tell me about the busiest day that you've ever had at work?
So before I went off to college, I worked as a waitress in an Italian restaurant in my town. And you know, working in restaurants, especially like super high-end ones, it's very like high intensity, high stress, and so that kind of proved to be an intense job for me. But probably one of the busiest days was a Saturday that I can remember, and we usually only have 3 tables at a time as a waitress. But I think this day we were low on staff, and we each had like 6 tables, which is double what we usually have. And it's very difficult like keeping up with everyone's orders, everyone's overall happiness. You have to make sure that your guest is happy and has exactly what they want, exactly what they need. And that day just proved to be a struggle for me, honestly, just a little bit. But I was definitely able to tackle it better than I anticipated. It's funny, like once you're in a high intensity situation, you kind of are able to prove to yourself like, hey, like dang, I did pretty good, I can do this. And that definitely was a moment that proved me well, and I was very proud of myself after that day, because none of my guests were unsatisfied with their meals. Everyone was happy. I got good tips that night. I made a lot more money than I usually did because I had more tables. So yes, so I was a very happy camper that night. And it's funny because
it worked in your favor.
Yes, I went into it very apprehensive that the night was going to be terrible, and it ended up being pretty nice for me. So.
And when you have a really busy day like that, how do you make safety a priority?
Yeah, so it's on days like that, I guess working in the restaurant business, there's not really too many issues with safety, because generally all of our guests are seated and everyone's just waiting on their food. But there is safety problems within like our staff, because you're back in the kitchen where there's like open fire and open flames everywhere, and everyone's running around, everyone's got plates over your head while they're going out the door. And it's you kind of have to remind people like, hey, slow down, everything's going to be okay. We want to make sure that you're safe, I'm safe. I don't want to get my finger burned off, you don't want to get your finger burned off. And so just in that regard, like in the restaurant business, you definitely have to worry about the safety of like your peers more so than your guests, because you're just, what's going on behind the kitchen, they don't see any of that. And so you're just having to make sure that the safety of your peers and your like employees is going well, so that no one gets hurt.
And I saw you expressed interest in a lifeguard role. With that lifeguard role, you would have to pass a lifeguard test, which would include swimming 200 yards, either freestyle or breaststroke, retrieving a 10-pound brick from the deepest section of the pool, and treading water with your hands out of the water for 2 minutes. Is that a test that you feel that you would be successful in passing?
Yeah, I think I would be successful in passing it. I've never worked as a lifeguard before, but I know some friends that have, and I've grown up at the pool, and my uncle was a lifeguard, and I actually live with my aunt and uncle, and so we're always doing like tests, and he's trying to see who can beat who, and I would consider myself, yeah, I would consider myself a pretty good swimmer, and so I don't think that would be an issue for me.
Have you had to respond, it doesn't have to be an in-water situation, but have you ever had to respond to any type of emergency situation?
I wouldn't say that I have. Nothing ever too serious. I did take a babysitting course when I was a senior, so like just a few months ago, to where they taught us like all the different like CPR and the Heimlich and all that, and so I definitely feel like I'm equipped to handle an emergency situation. And like I said, I consider myself to be a calm person and a pretty positive person, and so I don't really get frazzled in emergency situations, because I don't feel like that helps the situation at all. I feel like it's very important to stay calm and make sure that the emergency situation is held with a level head, and that you rectify the issue as well as you possibly can without causing an even bigger issue just from you trying to hurry and get things done. But I definitely have never had to handle a emergency situation, but I do feel like I could if I was handed one.
And what made you interested in the quick service food and beverage role?
Like I said, I worked in the food industry for a little while, doing it as a waitress, and then I also worked making sandwiches at Blimpie. I don't know if you've ever heard of Blimpie, but it's pretty much like Subway.
I miss Blimpie, yes.
Yes.
I grew up in a very small town in Arkansas, and we had Blimpie before we had Subway.
Yeah, us too. Me too. I live in a really small town in Georgia, and that's like...
It took me back.
Yes!
It's like, yes, I know what Blimpie is.
Right? It's so good. But yeah, so when I first turned 16, that's where I worked. And it's like 2 minutes down the road from my house because, like I said, I live in a really small town too. So once you turn 16, everyone's like, are you applying at Blimpie? Because that's all we've got. So, but yeah, so I'm definitely familiar with working with food. And feel pretty comfortable around it, which is kind of why I expressed interest. I know it's like a not very high demand job when applying for the program. So I do feel like that I would be good in that job and would be able to tackle that easily, especially since I know it's very high intensity. And since I have that experience working as a waitress, which is a very high intensity job, I feel like I would do well in that situation.
And in that role, you may also be working at one of our outdoor carts. Are you confident you would be able to push, pull, and lift heavy items that may be associated with that role?
Yes, I consider myself pretty strong.
And can you tell me about a time where you were responsible for cleaning up after a group?
Can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
Sure. Can you tell me about a time where you were responsible for cleaning up after a group?
Yes. So last summer, I feel like I just have worked at so many places now that I'm talking about it, but I worked at Callaway Gardens Resort. I don't know if you've ever heard of that either.
Yes, I've been there before.
Really? Yeah, that's like,
yeah.
I live where that is, so.
Like in Pine Mountain?
Yes, I live in Pine Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, so all the high schoolers, that's like their go-to job. Like everyone goes to Callaway to work, and I actually worked as a children's counselor there, and so I worked with kids from like baby to 6 years old, and there's like a children's center there, and you know, working with kids, they're like extremely messy. There's arts and crafts, there's food everywhere. They're just so messy. And so every single day over the summer after our shifts, I was having to clean up every single destroyed mess the kids have made. And yeah, so like we'd have to Lysol every single toy, every single inch of the floor. We'd have to clean up because due to like safety reasons and health reasons. And yeah, they definitely kept me on my toes with all their messes that they made, but we all worked together to clean everything up every single day.
And I also saw you express some interest in our custodial role. As a custodial cast member, how would you add to the guest experience?
Yeah, so I feel like the custodial role is actually an awesome opportunity to meet different people, which is what I really am excited for in the program. Just because you're all over the park, which I obviously like would love, because I know that in a lot of the jobs you're placed in like one specific area, and I know that with the custodial role you can like pick up shifts like all over the park, which is very appealing to me. And I feel like I would love to be able to meet different people from all over the park. And I know like the custodial workers are kind of the first person that guests are like, hey, like where's this, where's that? And so you get to talk to people from all over, which is very exciting for me because I love to talk and meet people. So I think that would be a really fun role for me.
And based on the description in the role checklist and the roles that we did get to talk through tonight, are you able to perform the essential function of those roles with or without a reasonable accommodation?
Yes.
Well, Gracie, those are all the questions I have for you at this time. Let me explain what's going to happen from here. We're going to send all communication to your dashboard on the Disney Career Portal. There won't be any changes to that dashboard until a final decision has been made. We do make decisions continuously over the course of our season, which really means any time from tomorrow to mid-November. Should you be offered a role on the Disney College program, you're going to get information about our acceptance process, arrival and departure dates that are available, which role you were selected for, education information about our collegiate offerings, and should you be extended an offer, you have 7 days from the time that you're offered to accept and pay your fees in full. Otherwise, you may forgo your invitation to participate. And now I can take any questions that you may have about the college program.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple. So my first question is, what's some advice on how to make the most out of the Disney College program, like in your opinion?
That is a very good question. It could take another hour. So I would say the biggest thing is really, and one thing that I would caution you on, is to really make it your experience. I think what happens now is that people get so caught up in like making it Instagrammable or you know, trying to get that experience where, and we've had lots of conversations about this, that people are like losing out on the experience of the college program because they're trying to get more followers on Instagram. So really just be in the moment when you're in the program. Obviously, like you just expressed interest in like picking up shifts. I think that's a great thing to do because every park and every resort has its really own kind of unique culture and style, even though it's all part of the Disney umbrella. So picking up shifts, getting to know your roommate, you know, make that DCP bucket list, but really along with that, go in with like the thought process that you're there, you know, primarily to work while you're on the college program, and really to help make magic for people while they're on, you know, sometimes, like you said, the example, you went once as a child, and some people, that's all they'll go over the course of their lifetime. So really making that trip for them the best trip possible.
That's great. I love that answer.
Yeah. Any other questions? That's a good one. So I'll stick to like a college program memory. Okay. Because that's the same as a night out. So I would say one of my favorite memories, and this was also like always like being open to new experiences when you're on the college program. I was a lifeguard, so you would think like, oh, you stood on stands, things like that. But I worked at the Grand Floridian on my college program, and one of the traditions that the Grand Floridian has is they do a huge Easter egg roll as part of the just as a guest experience for that day. So we spent what felt like months, but it was only a few weeks, stuffing Easter eggs. We had, I mean, just gobs of Easter eggs. And then it wound up, they asked me like 2 days before the event, they're like, we need a master of ceremonies. Would you be the master of ceremonies?
Oh my gosh.
And I was not as confident of a person then as I think I am now.
Yes, you're like,
like, this country boy from Arkansas, so you want me to talk in front of all these people who pay gobs of money to stay at the Grand Floridian?
Yeah.
But it was the funnest day to see, like, everyone out, like, in their Easter dresses, like, the little girls in their Easter dresses and everything, and I got to go to costuming, get fitted for, like, a special Disney Easter suit.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Easter bunny, but it was, like, such a weird, like, experience, but also it was great because I would have never, when I signed up to be a lifeguard, thinking that I was going to, like, cut the ribbon for an Easter egg. So I would say that was like one of my most unique and like fun Disney experiences.
Yeah, that's such a fun memory. That's awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions that you have, Gracie?
I think that's all.
Well, if you don't have any other questions, it's been so good speaking with you tonight, and I hope you have a magical rest of your evening, okay?
You too, Bradley. It was really nice meeting you.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
You too. Well, that was my interview. I think it went really well, so I'm really happy. I guess I'll hear back in a couple days and I'll update you guys if I got it or not, if I'm gonna be a part of the program. I think it went really well, so anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and yeah, hopefully I'll be making Disney College program videos next semester. But bye guys.